I was standing in my driveway at 7:30 in the morning, staring at the empty space where my brand new pearl white BMW sat the night before. My hands were shaking as I held my phone, looking at a text from my younger sister Madison that just came through 3 minutes ago. A photo of the BMW wrapped around a telephone pole, front end completely destroyed, and a message that said, "Oops. But don't worry. Mom and Dad will make you forgive me anyway." My stomach dropped as I realized what my sister had done. I couldn't breathe. I literally could not get air into my lungs. That car represented 4 years of my life. 4 years of saving every spare dollar, skipping vacations, brown bagging my lunch, saying no to dinners out with friends. 4 years of sacrifice to buy something that was completely mine, something I'd earned with my own hard work. And now it was wrapped around a telephone pole because my 27-year-old sister thought she could just take whatever she wanted. My fingers were trembling so badly I could barely dial her number. She answered on the 4th ring, and I could hear traffic in the background. "Oh good, you got my text," Madison said, her voice completely casual, like she was telling me about the weather. "Where are you? What happened? Where is my car?" The words tumbled out of my mouth in a rush. "Relax, Cherie. It's just a car. I needed to borrow it last night to meet some friends downtown. You would have said no, so I just grabbed your keys when I stopped by for dinner. Remember when you went to the bathroom? Yeah, they were right there on the counter. Super easy. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. You stole my car." "Borrowed," she corrected, like the semantics mattered. "Anyway, I was coming back around 3 this morning and I was on Interstate 40, and I guess I was going a little fast, maybe 75 or so, and I was texting Jess back, and the car just kind of swerved. I hit this pole, but I'm totally fine, just a few bruises. The car though, yeah, it's pretty messed up." "You left the scene?" I could barely form words. "Madison, that's illegal. That's hit and run. Calm down. I left because Kyle gave me a ride. I called Mom and Dad right away. They know everything. And I called you now, didn't I? So stop being so dramatic." Dramatic. She totaled my $47,000 car and I was being dramatic. "Where is the car now?" "Still on Interstate 40, I think. By exit 23. Look, I gotta go. But seriously, don't freak out. Mom and Dad will help you calm down. They always do." She hung up. I stood there holding my phone, my entire body shaking. Then I got in my roommate's car and drove straight to the crash site. It took me 20 minutes to get there, and when I arrived, my heart completely shattered. My beautiful BMW, the one I'd picked up from the dealership just 6 days ago, was demolished. The entire front end was crushed inward like an accordion. Both airbags had deployed. Fluids were leaking onto the pavement in rainbow puddles. The windshield had a spider web of cracks spreading across it. The driver's side door was crumpled. 2 police officers were still on the scene, taking photographs and measurements. I walked up to them on legs that felt like rubber. "Excuse me, this is my car," I said. The older officer, a man with gray at his temples, looked up from his notepad. "You're the owner? We've been trying to reach you. The vehicle was abandoned here, around 3:15 this morning. Do you know who was driving?" "My sister, Madison Hartford. She stole my keys yesterday evening and took the car without permission." The officer's expression changed. "So this wasn't a case of you lending her the vehicle?" "Absolutely not. I had no idea she'd taken it until she sent me a photo this morning." He nodded slowly. "Ma'am, I need to inform you that this is now a criminal matter. Grand theft auto, leaving the scene of an accident. You'll need to come down to the station to file a formal report." The financial reality hit me like a second crash. I'd saved for so long to buy this car. I'd put $9,000 down and financed the rest. I still owed $38,000 on the loan. And because I'd just bought it, I'd only gotten basic liability insurance. I was planning to upgrade to comprehensive coverage next month when my budget allowed it, but I never got the chance. My insurance wouldn't cover this. The car was worth maybe $5,000 in scrap now. I was going to lose everything. I called my parents from the crash site, my voice breaking. "Mom, Madison stole my car and totaled it. I'm at the scene right now with the police." There was a pause. Then my mother Patricia's voice came through, cold and sharp. Madison already called us. She's very upset and shaken. You need to be grateful she's alive. Cars can be replaced, sisters can't. You're being selfish and dramatic as usual. Selfish? Mom, she stole my car. She crashed it. I have to pay for this. I'm going to lose everything. My father Donald's voice came on the line. He must have grabbed the phone from my mother. You probably left the keys out on purpose because you're always jealous of Madison and you wanted to set her up. You've always done things like this. We need you to come to the house right now for a family meeting so we can resolve this properly without involving insurance or police. Dad, I'm literally standing here with the police right now. The car is destroyed. Madison committed a crime. If you file a police report against your own sister, you are no longer part of this family. Do you understand me? We will cut you off completely. I heard Madison's voice in the background, then she took the phone. Good luck with that, Cherie. Mom and Dad will never believe you over me. They never do. Have fun being poor and alone. She was laughing as she hung up. I stood there in the morning sun, surrounded by the wreckage of my car and apparently my entire family, and I made a decision. I drove straight to the police station. Officer Coleman, the gray-haired one from the scene, took my statement. I told him everything. The theft, Madison's admission over the phone, her confession about texting while driving. He nodded as he typed, his expression sympathetic but professional. Miss Hartford, I want you to understand that once you file this report, there's no taking it back. Your sister will be facing criminal charges. Are you certain you want to proceed? I thought about every time Madison had taken something of mine and broken it. Every time my parents had made excuses for her. Every time I'd been told to just let it go, to be the bigger person, to stop making trouble. I thought about 4 years of sacrifice evaporating in one night, because my sister thought rules didn't apply to her. Yes, I said. I'm absolutely certain. As I left the police station an hour later, my phone started exploding. Text after text from aunts, uncles, cousins. My mother had clearly been busy. How could you do this to your own sister? Family doesn't call the police on family. You're going to send Madison to jail over a car? What's wrong with you? Your grandmother is heartbroken. She thought she raised you better. I drove home and found my parents' car in my driveway. My stomach sank. They were inside my house. Actually inside, sitting in my living room like they owned the place. Madison was sprawled on my couch, scrolling through her phone. I later found out they'd used a spare key I didn't even know they had, one they'd kept from when they'd helped me move in 3 years ago. What are you doing in my house? I asked, my voice shaking. We need to talk, my father said, standing up. He was a tall man, a financial advisor who'd built his career on projecting authority and confidence. You need to withdraw that police report immediately. No. Cherie, sit down, my mother said. She was perched on the edge of my armchair, her face streaked with tears. We're going to work this out as a family. We're not a family, Mom. A family doesn't steal from each other. A family doesn't lie and manipulate. Madison looked up from her phone. Oh my God, you're being so extra right now. It was an accident. Accidents happen. I'll pay you back someday. Someday? I laughed, and it sounded slightly unhinged even to my own ears. Madison, you make $22,000 a year. The car was worth $47,000. How exactly are you planning to pay me back? She shrugged. I don't know. Eventually. Why are you so obsessed with money? It's really ugly. I looked at my parents. Are you hearing this? She stole my car. She destroyed it. And she thinks I'm the problem because I want her to be held accountable. My father pulled out his checkbook. We'll give you $5,000 right now if you drop the charges and the insurance claim. That's more than fair. The car was worth $47,000. I still owe $38,000 on the loan. $5,000 doesn't even come close. It's what we can afford, my mother said. Please, Cherie. Madison could go to jail. Think about what that would do to her future, to this family. What about my future? What about the fact that I'm now in debt for a car that doesn't exist anymore? Madison stood up, her face flushed. You know what? You've always been jealous of me. Always. Because Mom and Dad actually like me. Because I'm not boring and uptight like you. You're doing this to punish me, and it's pathetic. Something in me snapped. Get out of my house. All of you, now. Cherie, my mother started. Get out, or I'm calling the police. They left, but not before my father told me I was making the biggest mistake of my life. Not before my mother said I'd regret this. Not before Madison smirked at me and whispered, "This isn't over." After they left, I sat on my couch and finally let myself cry. Then I checked my phone and saw that my family group chat had exploded. 117 messages, all trashing me. Madison had clearly been busy. My cousin Jennifer. Just heard what you're doing to Madison. You should be ashamed. My Aunt Linda. Your grandmother is so upset she's having chest pains. Hope you're happy. My Uncle Tom. Pressing charges on your own sister over a fender bender? Wow. It wasn't a fender bender. It was a totaled car. But Madison had spun the story completely. According to her version, she'd borrowed the car with permission, had a minor accident, and I was now trying to have her arrested and collect insurance money I wasn't entitled to. Then things got worse. Someone, I still don't know who, posted my home address on social media with the caption, "This is where the sister who's trying to ruin Madison's life lives. She needs to know how the community feels about family betrayers." My phone started ringing from numbers I didn't recognize. When I answered the first one, a man's voice snarled, "You're a horrible person. I hope someone does to you what you're doing to your sister." I stopped answering after that. The next day, I got a call from my bank. My car payment was due in 2 weeks, $950, for a car that no longer existed. The loan officer was sympathetic but firm. The loan still existed. I still owed the money. If I defaulted, they'd report it to credit agencies, tank my credit score, potentially sue me for the full amount. I sat at my kitchen table, looking at my budget. After rent, utilities, student loans, and basic living expenses, I had about $300 left each month. There was no way I could afford this payment. I was going to default. My credit was going to be destroyed. 4 years of building good credit, gone. That evening, I got a Facebook message from someone named Trevor Chen. The name sounded familiar, then I remembered. Madison's boyfriend. "Cherie, this is Trevor, Madison's boyfriend. Or ex-boyfriend now, I guess. We need to talk. I have information about the night of the crash that you need to know. But I'm afraid to say anything because Madison will destroy me. Can we meet in person? Tomorrow? Please. This is important." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I agreed to meet him at a coffee shop the next morning. I barely slept that night. The threatening calls had continued until I turned my phone off completely. My mind was racing. What information could Trevor possibly have? What had Madison done that was even worse than what I already knew? I met Trevor at a small coffee shop on Maple Street at 9 in the morning. He was a nervous-looking guy in his early 30s, with dark circles under his eyes and hands that wouldn't stay still. He kept looking at the door like someone might burst in at any moment. "Thank you for meeting me," he said, his voice low. "I didn't know if you'd come. What do you know about the crash?" He pulled out his phone and set it on the table between us. "Madison didn't just borrow your car to meet friends. She took it to meet her ex-boyfriend, Kyle Brennan. They've been seeing each other behind my back for 3 months. That night, they went to a bar called Murphy's on 5th Street. They both got really drunk. Like, stumbling drunk. My stomach tightened. Was Madison actually driving? No, Trevor's voice cracked. Kyle was driving. Madison was in the passenger seat. When they crashed, Kyle panicked. He's got 2 prior DUI convictions. If he got caught driving drunk again, especially in a stolen car, he'd go to prison for years. So he ran. Just left the car and ran. And Madison moved over to the driver's seat. I felt the room tilt. She lied to the police about who was driving. Yeah. She called me that night, around 3:30. She was freaking out, asking what to do. I told her to tell the truth. She laughed at me and said she'd already called her parents and they were handling it. Then she told me she was getting back together with Kyle and I should lose her number. His voice was bitter now. So I thought, why should I protect her? She cheated on me, lied to everyone, and threw me away like garbage. He slid his phone across the table. These are screenshots of text messages between Madison and Kyle from that night and the days before. You can see them planning to take your car. Madison literally wrote, "My stupid sister just bought a new BMW. Let's take it for a spin. She won't do anything about it. She never does." I scrolled through the messages, my hands shaking. There it was, in black and white. Premeditated theft, conspiracy, and proof that Madison knew Kyle was driving. "Can I send these to myself?" I asked. "That's why I brought them. I want the truth to come out. Madison needs to face consequences for once in her life." I forwarded the screenshots to my email, then to Detective Coleman's email at the police department. "Thank you, Trevor. I know this wasn't easy." "She would have let you take the fall for everything," he said quietly. "She told Kyle that if things went bad, she'd find a way to blame you. That you were so desperate for money you'd do anything, even stage an insurance scam. She had it all planned out." After Trevor left, I sat in that coffee shop for another hour, trying to process everything. My sister hadn't just stolen my car on impulse. She'd planned it. She'd brought her drunk ex-boyfriend along. She'd let him drive, knowing his history. When it went wrong, she'd constructed an elaborate lie. And if that lie had unraveled, she'd been prepared to frame me. My phone rang. Detective Coleman. "Miss Hartford, I received some interesting emails from you this morning. Can you come down to the station? We need to discuss some developments in your case." At the station, Detective Coleman spread printouts of the text messages across her desk. She was a woman in her mid-40s with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense demeanor. "We've been reviewing traffic camera footage from Interstate 40, she said. "The footage shows two people in your vehicle at the time of the crash. We can see someone fleeing the scene immediately after impact. Then we see your sister moving from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. These text messages corroborate what the video shows. Your sister lied in her initial statement to police." "What does this mean?" I asked. "It means we're investigating your sister for grand theft auto, filing a false police report, and obstruction of justice. We're also looking for Kyle Brennan for DUI, hit and run, and reckless endangerment. If we find him, and if he cooperates, your sister is looking at serious felony charges." I should have felt relieved. Instead, I felt sick. My own sister had been willing to send an innocent person, me, to jail to save herself and her boyfriend. I went to work that afternoon in a daze. I was a project manager at a marketing firm called Brightside Media, and I'd been there for 6 years. I loved my job. It was stable, challenging, and I was good at it. But when I walked into the lobby, I found my father standing there, his face red with rage. "Dad, what are you doing here? You need to fix this right now," he said, his voice rising. People in the lobby turned to stare. Madison called me crying. She said the police are going to arrest her. "This has gone too far, Cherie. You drop those charges right now, or you'll regret it." "Sir, you need to leave," the receptionist, Angela, said nervously. "I'm not leaving until my daughter stops trying to destroy her own sister over a car." He was shouting now. "Do you know what kind of person does this? What kind of person sends their own flesh and blood to jail?" My boss, Mr. Harrison, appeared from his office. "What's going on here?" "This doesn't concern you," my father snapped. "Actually, it does when someone is disrupting my workplace." Mr. Harrison nodded to Angela. "Call security." 2 security guards appeared and escorted my father out. He was still yelling as they led him through the doors. I stood there, humiliated, as everyone in the lobby stared at me. Mr. Harrison touched my elbow gently. "My office, please." I followed him, feeling like I might throw up. He closed the door and gestured for me to sit. "Cherie, I've noticed you've been distracted lately. Is everything okay at home?" "I'm so sorry about that. My father shouldn't have come here." "What's going on? And please be honest with me." I told him everything. The car, the theft, the crash, the lies, the police investigation. He listened without interrupting, his expression grave. "I'm very sorry you're dealing with this," he said when I finished. "However, I need to be frank with you. This is the second time in a week that your personal issues have affected your work environment. You've been late to meetings, missed deadlines, and now this scene in the lobby. I think it would be best if you took a leave of absence until your personal situation is resolved." A leave of absence? Panic flooded through me. Mr. Harrison, I need this job. I can't afford to take time off. It's not optional, he said, his voice kind but firm. Take 2 weeks. Get your life in order. When you come back, we'll reassess. I left his office feeling like the floor had dropped out from under me. 2 weeks without pay. I couldn't afford that. My savings were nearly gone from legal fees. I had the car payment coming due. And now I might lose my job entirely. When I got home, there was a certified letter waiting for me from a law firm, Blackwell & Associates. I opened it with shaking hands. It was a demand letter on Madison's behalf, threatening to sue me for defamation and emotional distress for filing the police report. The letter claimed that I'd made false accusations against Madison, damaged her reputation, and caused her severe mental anguish. They demanded I retract all statements to police, issue a public apology, and pay Madison $15,000 in damages within 10 business days, or they would file a lawsuit. I called the only lawyer I knew, Jennifer Blake, a family law attorney I'd met at a networking event years ago. She agreed to see me that evening. Miss Blake was a sharp woman in her late 40s with gray-streaked hair and a direct manner. She read the demand letter and snorted. This is garbage. Defamation requires false statements. Everything you've said is true and provable. They're trying to intimidate you into dropping the criminal case. Can they actually sue me? They can file a lawsuit, yes. Anyone can sue anyone for anything, but they won't win. However, defending yourself will cost money. Legal fees to fight a civil suit, even a frivolous one, could run you $10,000 to $15,000. And the lawyer they've hired, Richard Blackwell, is known for dragging cases out for years to bleed his opponents dry financially. So what do? You don't back down. You let the criminal investigation proceed. If Madison sues you civilly, we'll countersue for the value of the car plus damages. We'll make this so expensive for them they'll regret starting it. She paused. But I need to be honest with you, Cherie. This is going to get worse before it gets better. Are you prepared for that? I thought about backing down, taking the $5,000, making this all go away. But then I thought about Madison's smirk, about her text messages planning to steal my car, about her willingness to frame me. Yes, I said, I'm prepared. I had no idea how bad it was about to get. 2 days later, I woke up to emails from my boss, from coworkers, from clients. My work email had been hacked. Someone had sent spam messages to everyone in my contact list, hundreds of people. Crude advertisements for illegal pharmaceuticals, links to malicious websites. My professional reputation was being destroyed in real time. Then I got a call from our IT department. Someone had accessed my work computer remotely and deleted files. Project files representing months of work. Client proposals, budget spreadsheets. Everything was gone. Our IT specialist, Marcus Young, pulled me into a conference room. This wasn't random. Someone specifically targeted your accounts using your login credentials. Do you have any idea who might have access to your passwords? Then it hit me. Madison. She'd been to my apartment dozens of times. She'd seen me log into things. She could have watched me type my passwords. But when Marcus traced the IP address, it led to someone named Julia Mendez, an IT contractor at a completely different company. After some digging, I found her social media. She and Madison were friends. There were photos of them together at clubs, at brunches, at concerts. She did this for Madison, I told Marcus, to get me fired. We're involving the police, Marcus said grimly. This is computer fraud, identity theft, corporate sabotage. This isn't just about you anymore. This affects the entire company. The police took my statement, added Julia's name to the investigation. Potentially more criminal charges, more people going down with Madison. Good. But the damage was done. Mr. Harrison called me into his office the next morning. Cherie, I'm sorry, but we need to extend your leave of absence indefinitely, until this situation is resolved. Your accounts have been compromised, your work product destroyed, and frankly, we can't risk further sabotage. Are you firing me? No, but you're on unpaid leave pending resolution of these criminal matters. I'm sorry, I genuinely am. I walked out of Brightside Media, not knowing when or if I'd come back. no income, drowning in debt, and my family was actively trying to destroy my life. That night, my parents showed up at my apartment again. This time they brought Madison and a lawyer, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit who introduced himself as Richard Blackwell. "We have a settlement offer," Blackwell said, spreading papers on my coffee table. "Your family will pay the remaining balance on your car loan, $38,000, in exchange for you withdrawing all criminal complaints against Madison and signing a non-disclosure agreement preventing you from ever discussing this matter again." I looked at the papers, at Madison's smug face, at my parents' desperate expressions. For a moment, I was so tempted. $38,000, my debt erased, this nightmare over, I could move on with my life. But then I looked at Madison, really looked at her. She thought she'd won. She thought money and manipulation would save her like it always had. And I realized that if I accepted this, nothing would change. Madison would keep hurting people. My parents would keep enabling her. The cycle would continue forever. "No," I said. Madison's face went from smug to furious in an instant. "Are you kidding me right now? We're offering you everything you want. What I want is for you to face consequences for what you did." "You're ruining my life over a stupid car," Madison screamed. "I could go to jail because of you. What kind of sister are you? The kind who's done being your doormat." She lunged at me. Actually lunged, like she was going to hit me. My father grabbed her, pulled her back. She was crying now, hysterical, screaming that I was destroying the family, that I was evil, that she hated me. Blackwell gathered his papers, his expression annoyed. "This offer expires in 24 hours. After that, we proceed with the lawsuit." After they left, I poured myself a large glass of wine and sat in the dark. My phone buzzed. A text from a number I didn't recognize. "You're making a huge mistake. Madison has friends in low places. Watch your back." I blocked the number. Then I called Jennifer Blake and told her everything. "They're scared," she said. "That's why they're escalating. Madison knows the evidence is stacking up against her. Let them sue. We'll crush them in court." The next morning, I got a call from Detective Coleman. "Miss Hartford, we've located Kyle Brennan. He's agreed to cooperate fully, in exchange for a reduced charge. He's giving a full statement about the night of the crash, including who was really driving and the planning that went into taking your car. This is very good news for your case." But it wasn't good news for Madison. That afternoon, her employer called her in for a meeting. Madison worked at a nonprofit called the Community Youth Foundation. They ran programs for at-risk teenagers, mentoring, tutoring, job training. It was the kind of place that prided itself on ethics and integrity. And they'd just learned that their social media coordinator was under investigation for multiple felonies. I found out about the meeting because Madison called me, crying so hard I could barely understand her. "They suspended me," she sobbed, "pending their internal investigation. Cherie, I could lose my job. Please, please just drop this. I'm begging you." Part of me, the part that remembered growing up with her, that remembered being kids together, felt sorry for her. But a bigger part remembered her smirk, her text messages, her willingness to let me take the blame. "You did this to yourself, Madison." She hung up. 2 hours later, my mother called. "I hope you're proud of yourself. Madison just tried to hurt herself. She's at the hospital now. This is on you, Cherie. If something happens to her, it's your fault." I felt sick, genuinely sick. But I called Detective Coleman and told her what my mother had said. "Your mother is trying to manipulate you," Coleman said firmly. "This is a common tactic in these situations. Don't fall for it. What your sister is facing is the consequence of her own actions, not yours." The next week, the news got worse for Madison. The Community Youth Foundation completed their investigation and found things even I didn't know about. Madison had been falsifying expense reports for months, claiming personal dinners, shopping trips, even a weekend spa visit as work events. Nearly $6,000 in fraudulent expenses. She'd also lied in her initial statement to HR about the car incident, claiming it was a minor fender bender where she was the victim. They fired her, immediately, for cause. No severance, no reference, nothing. And because it was a high-profile nonprofit, the local news picked up the story. Nonprofit employee fired amid criminal investigation and fraud allegations. Madison's name and photo were in the news. The article detailed the car theft, the lies to police, the workplace fraud. The comments section was brutal. Another entitled rich girl who thinks rules don't apply to her. She works with at-risk youth? Who's protecting those kids from her? The parents are probably just as bad. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. My parents' carefully constructed image of a perfect family crumbled overnight. They belonged to a country club, volunteered at their church, maintained a social circle of affluent professionals. Now everyone knew their daughter was a thief and a liar. My father's business took a hit. He was a financial advisor, and trust was everything in that industry. 3 of his major clients quietly moved their accounts to other firms. My mother was asked to step down from the church charity board. Their friends started avoiding them at the club. Meanwhile, I was still drowning. Still had the car payment I couldn't make. Still on unpaid leave. Still getting threatening messages from Madison's friends. My credit score had dropped 80 points. The bank was threatening to sue me for the defaulted loan. But then Madison did something that changed everything. She showed up at my apartment late one night, unannounced. She was drunk, stumbling, mascara running down her face. "I'm going to make you regret this," she slurred. "You think you're so smart? You think you've won? I'm going to tell the police we were in on it together. That you set this whole thing up for insurance money. That I was helping you commit fraud. Who do you think they'll believe? The innocent younger sister or the vindictive older one?" I recorded every word on my phone. The next day, her lawyer filed exactly what she'd threatened. A motion claiming Cherie and Madison had conspired together to stage the theft for insurance money. That I'd provided the keys willingly. That Madison was actually the victim of my elaborate scheme. The evidence they presented was laughable. Photoshopped text messages that any expert could see were fake. A witness statement from Madison's friend Claire, who claimed to have overheard me and Madison planning the scheme, except traffic cameras, proved Claire was in a completely different city that day. Jennifer Blake tore it apart in hours. She filed for forensic examination of Madison's phone and computer. The text messages were proven to be digitally altered. Phone records showed I'd been frantically calling Madison the night of the crash, trying to find my car. My insurance company confirmed I'd never filed a claim and had actually fought their denial. The district attorney was furious. They added new charges against Madison: attempted fraud, perjury for lying in legal documents, and obstruction of justice. Richard Blackwell, Madison's lawyer, withdrew from the case. He couldn't ethically represent a client who'd lied to him and used his services to file false evidence. Madison was now facing up to 7 years in prison, if convicted on all charges, and she couldn't afford another lawyer. She was assigned a public defender. In desperation, my parents did something unforgivable. They hired a private investigator to dig up dirt on me. They wanted something, anything, to discredit me or use as leverage. The investigator's name was Frank Morrison, and he spent 2 weeks following me, interviewing my friends, going through my social media, checking my background. He found nothing because there was nothing to find. I'd lived a clean, responsible life. No criminal record, no shady financial dealings, no scandals, but Frank found something else. In his investigation of Madison, looking for ways to help her case, he uncovered her history. DUIs that had been covered up. Hit and runs from years ago that my parents had paid victims to keep quiet about. Theft from previous employers that had been settled privately. A pattern of destruction that my parents had been enabling and hiding for over a decade. Frank Morrison looked at all of this and made a decision. He contacted me. We met at a diner, and he slid a folder across the table. "I was hired to destroy you," he said bluntly, "but I can't do it. You're innocent, your sister isn't. And your parents have been covering for her for years. This folder contains copies of everything I found, police reports that were buried, settlement agreements, NDAs. Your parents have paid out over $120,000 over the years to make Madison's messes disappear." I opened the folder and felt my hands start shaking. It was all there. Every incident, every payment, every lie. Madison had been doing this her entire adult life, and my parents had enabled every bit of it. Why are you giving this to me? Because I have a daughter, Frank said quietly. And if she ever acted like your sister does, I'd want someone to hold her accountable before she hurt herself or someone else worse. What your parents are doing isn't love, it's destruction. Armed with Frank's evidence, Jennifer Blake filed a comprehensive civil lawsuit against both Madison and my parents. We sued for the car's value, legal fees, emotional distress, lost wages, and the damage to my credit. The total came to $125,000. But before the civil case could proceed, the criminal case had to be resolved. The district attorney, a tough woman named Patricia Reeves, wasn't interested in a plea deal. She wanted to make an example. Your sister has been given chance after chance her entire life, DA Reeves told me in her office. She's never faced real consequences. That ends now. We're going to trial. But Madison's public defender, a harried-looking man named Stephen Torres, convinced her to accept a plea deal. The alternative was risking a jury trial where she could face the maximum sentence on all charges, potentially a decade in prison. The plea deal was harsh. Guilty pleas to grand theft auto, filing a false police report, and obstruction of justice. 90 days in county jail, 3 years probation, 500 hours of community service, and full restitution to me. The restitution amount was calculated at $47,000 for the car plus $16,000 in legal fees and other costs. $63,000 total. The court date arrived on a gray Tuesday morning in October. I sat in the courtroom and watched Madison stand before the judge in an orange jumpsuit. Her hair was pulled back, no makeup, looking small and scared. My parents sat behind her, both crying. The judge, a stern woman named Margaret Chen, read through the charges and the plea agreement. Then she looked at Madison. Miss Hartford, before I accept this plea, I'm going to hear from the victim. Miss Cherie Hartford has prepared an impact statement. I walked to the podium on shaking legs. I'd written and rewritten this statement a dozen times. I looked at Madison, and she wouldn't meet my eyes. Your Honor, this case isn't just about a car. It's about a lifetime of behavior that has never been challenged. My sister has been stealing, lying, and manipulating her entire life, and my parents have enabled it every step of the way. When she was 16, she stole my mother's car and crashed it. My parents bought her a new car of her own. When she was 19, she stole money from her college roommate. My parents paid the girl's family to keep quiet. When she was 23, she got a DUI. My parents hired a lawyer who got the charges reduced. Every time Madison faced a consequence, my parents made it disappear. And every time they did that, they taught her that actions don't have consequences. That other people's property, feelings, and lives don't matter. They taught her that she's entitled to take whatever she wants from whoever she wants, and someone will always clean up her mess. This time, I didn't clean up the mess. I let her face what she did. And yes, it was hard. It cost me money I didn't have, damaged my career, isolated me from my family. But it was the right thing to do. Because if she doesn't face consequences now, at 27 years old, when will she? After she kills someone driving drunk? After she ruins someone else's life? How many more victims need to suffer before someone says enough? I look directly at Madison now. I loved you. I still love you. But love doesn't mean letting someone destroy themselves and everyone around them. Real love means standing firm when it's hard. I hope that someday you'll understand that. I hope that facing this consequence will finally help you change. Because if it doesn't, I don't know what will. The courtroom was silent. My mother was sobbing into my father's shoulder. Madison was staring at the floor, tears running down her face. Judge Chen looked at Madison. Miss Hartford, I've reviewed your history, the evidence of prior incidents that were swept under the rug. I want you to understand something. Your sister didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself. She simply refused to participate in the enabling that has crippled your development as a responsible adult. I'm accepting this plea agreement, but I'm modifying the jail sentence. Instead of 45 days, you'll serve 90 days. Maybe that will give you time to reflect on the person you've become and the person you need to become. Madison gasped. Her lawyer looked grim, but didn't object. 3 months in jail instead of 6 weeks. Additionally, the judge continued, you will begin making restitution payments immediately upon your release, $200 per month minimum. If you miss a payment, you'll be in violation of probation and will serve the remainder of your sentence behind bars. Do you understand? Yes, Your Honor, Madison whispered. They led her away in handcuffs. My parents rushed out of the courtroom without looking at me. I sat there feeling empty, exhausted, and strangely sad. Outside, Jennifer Blake put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. Then why do I feel terrible? Because you're a good person who just had to do a hard thing. That's always going to hurt. The civil case moved forward while Madison served her jail time. My parents tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. Frank Morrison's documentation of their pattern of enabling, combined with the criminal conviction, made their liability clear. Their lawyer advised them to settle. Fighting would cost them hundreds of thousands in legal fees, and they'd lose anyway. They agreed to pay $50,000, split over 5 years in monthly installments. With Madison's restitution and my parents' settlement, I'd eventually recover most of what I'd lost, but it would take years. Meanwhile, Kyle Brennan pleaded guilty to his charges and was sentenced to 4 years in prison. His cooperation had helped Madison's case get resolved, but he still had to face justice for his third DUI and fleeing the scene. 3 months later, Madison was released from jail. She'd served her full 90 days. I didn't go to pick her up. Neither did our parents, I later learned. She took a bus home. She was living with our parents again, having lost her apartment. She got a job at a fast food restaurant, the only place that would hire her with a felony conviction. She was making minimum wage, $11 an hour, working 35 hours a week. After taxes, she took home maybe $1,400 a month. After her restitution payment, she had $1,200 left for all her other expenses. My parents had to sell their large house in the suburbs and move to a smaller place. Donald's business never fully recovered. Patricia's health declined from the stress. The country club membership was quietly dropped. Their social circle evaporated. I stopped hearing from my extended family after the trial. The ones who'd been so quick to condemn me when Madison first spun her lies were silent now that the truth had come out. No apologies, just silence. I wish I could say Madison reached out, apologized, tried to make amends. She didn't. Not for 6 months. 6 months after her release, Madison sent me a text. Can we meet? Please. I need to talk to you. I debated ignoring it, but curiosity won. We met at a neutral location, a park near my apartment. She looked different. Thinner, tired, older somehow. Working fast food and living with the weight of her actions had aged her. I'm in therapy, she said without preamble. Court ordered. But it's helping. I'm learning things about myself, not good things. I didn't say anything, just waited. I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not the fake sorry I used to do when Mom and Dad made me. I'm sorry for taking your car. I'm sorry for lying. I'm sorry for trying to blame you. I'm sorry for everything. Her voice cracked. I ruined your life and mine and Mom and Dad's lives, and it's all my fault. Yes, it is, I said. It sounded harsh, but it was true. I know you probably hate me. I don't hate you, Madison. I'm just done. Done being your backup plan, your safety net, your scapegoat. You need to fix your own life now. Can we ever be sisters again? I thought about that. About all the years of pain, manipulation, betrayal. About the little girl she'd been before the entitlement and enabling corrupted her. About the possibility, however slim, that she might actually change. Maybe, I said finally. In a few years. After you've proven through actions, not words, that you're different. But not now. Right now, I need you to leave me alone and focus on becoming someone worthy of reconciliation. She nodded, tears running down her face. Okay, I understand. Thank you for meeting me. She walked away, and I watched her go, feeling something between hope and grief. My life slowly rebuilt itself. The insurance company eventually paid out a partial claim of $22,000 after the criminal conviction proved I wasn't at fault. Madison's restitution payments started coming in, $300 a month. My parents' settlement checks arrived like clockwork. Within a year, I'd paid off the car loan completely. I bought a used Toyota Camry, 7 years old but reliable, and I owned it outright. No car payment, no debt hanging over me. My job situation resolved too. Once the criminal cases were settled and the evidence of workplace sabotage was clear, Mr. Harrison welcomed me back. He apologized for doubting me, gave me my promotion to project director that I'd been in line for before all this started, and included a $15,000 raise. Julia Mendez, the woman who'd hacked my accounts for Madison, pleaded guilty to computer fraud and received 2 years probation and a permanent ban from working in IT. Her career was over. I started dating someone new, a kind accountant named Marcus Young, the same Marcus who'd helped uncover the sabotage at my company. We took things slow, but he was patient, honest, and treated me with respect. It was a revelation after years of my family's dysfunction. I cut off all contact with my parents. They never apologized, never acknowledged their role in creating the monster Madison had become. My mother still sent occasional texts, blaming me for destroying the family. I blocked her number. I built a new family with friends who'd stood by me, with Marcus, with people who actually valued honesty and accountability. Blood didn't make them family, loyalty did. 3 years have passed now. Madison finished her probation successfully. She's still making restitution payments, still working in food service, still living a modest life. She sends me a Christmas card every year with a short note updating me on her progress in therapy, her life, her growth. I read them, but don't respond. My parents are still paying their settlement in monthly installments. They have 2 more years to go. Donald's business never recovered its former glory. Patricia's health issues persist. They're in their late 60s now, facing retirement with far less security than they'd planned because they spent $100,000 enabling their younger daughter instead of preparing for their future. The extended family remained silent. No apologies ever came for the judgment, the threats, the cruelty. I don't miss them. When people show you who they are, believe them. I'm doing well now. Better than well, actually. I'm engaged to Marcus. We're planning a small wedding next spring, just close friends, no family drama. I got another promotion at work, making 6 figures now as a senior director. My credit is fully repaired. I have savings again. I bought a small house, nothing fancy, but it's mine. The Toyota runs great. Every time I drive it, I think about the BMW, about how losing it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because it forced me to finally stand up to the dysfunction that had defined my family for my entire life. It forced me to choose myself. I learned that enabling someone isn't love, it's participating in their destruction. My parents thought they were protecting Madison by shielding her from consequences. Instead, they created someone who hurt herself and everyone around her. Real love would have meant letting her fail, letting her learn, letting her grow. I learned that standing up for yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. For 32 years, I'd been told that keeping the peace was more important than protecting myself. That family loyalty meant accepting abuse. That being the bigger person meant being the doormat. All lies. I learned that people who've never been held accountable will always test your limits. Madison kept escalating because she could. She destroyed a $47,000 car because she'd gotten away with smaller thefts. Breaking the pattern required me to be willing to lose everything. And I almost did, but it was worth it. I learned that your real family are the people who stand by you when it costs them something. Trevor, who risked Madison's wrath to tell the truth. Frank Morrison, who gave me evidence even though it cost him his fee. Jennifer Blake, who believed in me. Marcus, who saw me at my lowest and stayed. Those are my real family. The story could have ended so differently. If I'd taken that first settlement offer, Madison would have learned that with enough manipulation and family pressure, she could get away with anything. She'd probably be in prison now for something worse. Or she'd have killed someone driving drunk. Or she'd have destroyed someone else's life completely. Instead, she's alive, sober, employed, and hopefully becoming a better person. I'm thriving. And I sleep well at night knowing I did the right thing, even when it was the hardest thing. Sometimes I think about what I'd say to someone facing a similar situation. Someone dealing with a family member who takes and never faces consequences. I'd tell them that you can't save someone by drowning with them. You can't love someone into changing. You can't enable someone healthy. At some point, you have to choose yourself. And that's not selfish, that's survival. The last text I got from Madison was 2 weeks ago. Just 3 words. Thank you, Cherie. I don't know if she means it. I don't know if she's truly changed, or just learned to fake it better. Time will tell. But for now, I'm focusing on my own life, my own happiness, my own peace. I'm not my family's scapegoat anymore. I'm not anyone's doormat. I'm just Cherie. And that's more than enough. If you've ever been in a situation where you had to choose between family loyalty and doing what's right, I'd love to hear your story. Have you ever had to hold someone accountable even when everyone told you to just let it go? How did you handle it? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about standing up for yourself and breaking toxic family cycles. Share this with someone who might need to hear that choosing yourself isn't selfish. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps someone out there find the courage to stand firm when it matters most. Take care of yourselves, and remember that you deserve to be treated with respect, even by family.